All right, so what we're going to be doing, essentially, is you've got an article there in front of you on reverse osmosis. Okay, reverse osmosis is obviously a process that we use to purify water. All right, some of you may have an RO system at your house, especially if you live in a rural area and you draw your water from a well. You may have an RO system that purifies your water. All right. Various places will use RO. It's okay on a small scale. Okay, on a large scale, like to purify the water supply of an entire town, not quite as much. All right. Now, what we want to do with this activity is learn a little bit about that. Learn a little bit about how it's similar to what your cell membrane does. Okay, the membrane that filters the water in reverse osmosis is a lot like the membranes of your cells. Okay, and the membranes of your cells are supposed to essentially keep the bad stuff out, okay, and the good stuff in, as the case may be. So we're kind of looking here at an artificial version of that, okay, and how they work. So whenever you're asked to read something, the first thing you should ask is, why? Okay, not why am I reading this, because I hate reading. Okay, I don't mean why like that. I mean, what am I supposed to get from this? Because if you have this idea in your head before you read it, you're more likely to pick out the important parts. Okay? If you're just reading something and you have no idea what you're supposed to get out of it, you're probably going to lose interest pretty quickly. Okay? You're also not really going to know what to look for, and so you'll probably miss the important parts. All right? So in an assignment like this, where you're given a sheet that's got these questions on it, it's a good idea to go over the questions first. Okay, and then you'll know kind of what key points to look for, what words might be important, okay? And it can help you to work on a skill that could be important for you later. Highlighting. Okay? How many people have ever, when they read stuff, highlight stuff? Okay? You don't do it much in junior high or high school because you really don't do a whole heck of a lot of reading. But trust me, when you get to university, okay, and you go into your science class and the prof barely speaks any English, okay, you'll be doing a lot of reading because you'll have to learn everything out of the textbook, which sucks. Okay, but that's university. Right? You don't always get good profs. Sometimes you do. I did have several. Okay, but you also get lots of real lousy ones. Okay, like the physics guy I had who told me the only reason he was standing in front of me teaching was because it was the only way he would get his research grant money, and that he didn't care about us at all. His exact words. Okay, that was kind of demoralizing. Okay, now on the other side of that, you will sometimes get good profs. Okay, sometimes they're good, but they don't speak your language. Okay, for example, the only words I understood out of one of my chem profs were "thank you for opportunity learn English." I about flipped out on that one. Okay, but yeah, so you're going to run into that. So your reading skills and your ability to pick out what's important science-wise, okay, is going to be crucial for you. And that's why we're doing this kind of exercise. Okay, you laugh. It's true. Okay, I really did have a prof. That was the only thing I understood him say, and it was the last day. Okay, it was brutal. All right, learned everything from the textbook in that chem class. So, what we're looking at here, things that we want to be able to do or kind of pick out of this article. We want to be able to compare and contrast. That means find the similarities and differences, okay, of the membranes used in reverse osmosis and a cell membrane. All right, so we should probably be looking for information in there that tells us kind of what they're both made out of and what they both do. Okay, how are they similar? How are they different? All right, so that's one of the things we should be looking for as we read through that. Second thing we should be looking for, what provides the force needed to move water across the membrane in both osmosis and reverse osmosis. Okay, we talked about osmosis in class. Osmosis is water passively moving across the membrane to balance salt concentrations. Right? There still has to be a force that draws it across. That's one of the things you need to look for in the article. Okay, and you also need to find what force is used in reverse osmosis. Okay, reverse osmosis is just like it sounds. Instead of making the concentrations equal on both sides, reverse osmosis does the other. Okay, it makes the concentration of impurities on one side very high, and the other side is very clean. Okay, so essentially, it forces water through a membrane under pressure. Okay, and that's the exact opposite of water passively moving across a membrane. Okay, number 3 asks, in a short paragraph, explain and justify if you think using reverse osmosis would be an acceptable way to conserve water in a place like Okotoks where water conservation is important. Okay? What do we mean by conserving water? What are we trying to do with it? Use less. Okay? So what you need to be looking for there is, does reverse osmosis use less water than, other conventional methods of water purification? Okay? So advantages, disadvantages. What are we looking for here? Is there a way, does reverse osmosis save water? It certainly purifies it. There's no arguing that. Okay? But does it save water? That's what we're looking for there. Okay? And number 4, it was mentioned in the article that reverse osmosis was used to ensure impurities were removed from certain products like wine and syrup. Okay, so there's going to be a paragraph in there that you'll want to watch for that talks about that. Okay, can you think of any reason why purists might disagree with the use of this process in the making of these products? Okay, high-end wine and syrup, okay, if you've ever seen it, often contains like sediment, if you've ever looked at it. Okay, explain why you think, and this may be just a question that you kind of have to draw on your own experience, okay, or draw some conclusions. Okay, why might that be better? Why would some people who are purists, who say we should have this in the natural way, don't bother removing that stuff because it's important, why would they think that that would be better, okay, than to filter all that stuff off? Well, it's for you to decide. We're not answering this right now. You guys are going to answer these after. Okay? Everybody with me there? So those are some of the things that we want to be on the lookout for as we read this article on reverse osmosis. Now, obviously it's a scientific article. There's going to be some terminology in there that you're not familiar with. I've highlighted a few words that usually trip people up. Okay? But what I would like you to do is underline or highlight some words that maybe you don't understand in addition to those words that I've highlighted in the text. Okay? Because what we want to do after you're done is go over those words. Okay? If you don't understand one word in a sentence, do you get much out of that sentence? No. Even if you knew, let's say that sentence had 10 words, but you missed one of them, maybe that was the key word to that sentence. Maybe now that whole sentence doesn't make sense. All right? So we want to make sure we understand all the words. So you highlight them, and we'll talk about them after, and then you can go back and look at that sentence and see if it makes more sense to you after the fact. And please, guys, you don't need to be afraid to ask. I don't know what this word meant. Okay? You don't know what it means? You ask. Anybody laughs? I'll kill him. And I recorded that. I won't really kill you. Okay? But, okay, nobody laughs here. If we have trouble with a word, we want to go over it. Okay? Understanding the words is important to understanding the whole document. All right? So I'm going to give you some time here to read that through. Then we'll go over the words we don't understand. We'll talk about some of the paragraphs, and then you'll have time to answer those 4 questions. Okay? All right. Let's have at her. Okay, and guys, just in case, when you forget yours or you lose yours, or people who are watching this who aren't here today, if you need to find those sheets again, okay, go to my website, Science 10 Notes and Assignments, Biology, okay, and it's right here. It is lesson 8.1, Biology lesson 8.1, Reverse Osmosis Literacy Activity, okay? That's the one that you want to open if you lose that sheet or you need it, okay? Okay, let's go over. First off, we'll make our list of words that we, let's say, didn't understand. So, hands up here, guys, if you got words, okay, that you want to add to our list here. We'll just, okay, we'll just make a quick file of those here. Okay, so show them on your page. Equilibrium, okay. All right, so that's not what I want. Okay, so first one here, equilibrium, and why that's coming up as that, I don't know. Okay, so the word equilibrium, okay. The word equilibrium means to have a balance. Okay? If you have achieved a state of equilibrium, you have the same amount of something on both sides, okay? Or the temperature is the same on both sides. There is a balance. The amount of stuff that is crossing over a membrane in both directions is the same. Okay, that's what equilibrium means. All right, so if you have like an old-fashioned scale that you'd put weights in, okay, you'd have to have the same amount of weight on both sides to be in a state of equilibrium. All right. Taylor? Paramount. Okay, paramount means of the most important. Okay, so like the highest point or the most important thing here, this thing is paramount. It's the most important thing. All right, what else, guys? Don't be afraid to ask. Chances are you weren't the only person who didn't understand the words that you didn't get. Okay, what? Desalination, right? Okay, it's one of the ones I had highlighted. Okay, desalination means, okay, saline, okay, is essentially the base word of this word. Saline means salty, okay, or a solution that has something dissolved in it. So ocean water is saline, okay? If you use contact solution, we often refer to that as saline solution, okay, because it has ions and stuff. It is a solution of stuff that is dissolved. So to desalinate it, that means to remove those dissolved ions, all right? So the process of desalination is essentially removing salt, okay, or removing ions from a solution. All right, what else? Any other ones from you guys? Paige? Pardon me? Impediment? Impediment means something that slows you down. Okay? So if we look at the word impediment, okay, the base word there is impede. If something impedes you, okay, it is slowing you down. So an impediment is anything that slows you down. Okay? Hypotonic, okay? Hypotonic means that one side is considerably less concentrated than the other. Okay? Semi-permeable. All right? Semi-permeable means some things can get through and some things can't. Your cell membrane is semi-permeable. Okay? That means some things can get through it, but other things that are too big are blocked, or other things that have a certain chemical nature are blocked. All right? If something is completely permeable, anything gets through it. All right? A cotton T-shirt is essentially permeable. All right? Anything can, if you put it in water, okay, it wouldn't act as a barrier between something and something else. It could essentially get through. Unprecedented. Okay, yeah, unprecedented means nothing like this has happened before. And I think I spelled it wrong. I'm going to look on here so I spell it right. Unprecedented, right here. Okay, highlighted here. Unprecedented means never happened before. There's never been anything like it. Like last year's floods, okay, were like unprecedented. We'd never had floods like that, or at least not in recent memory. All right. Any others? Okay. All right, so we'll go over a couple of the other ones here that I had. Okay, torrential. Okay, torrential flooding. Torrential means awful, like it's so big, it's it's coming down so fast. There's nothing you can do to stop it. Okay, torrents of water. All right, things like that. Okay, semi-permeable. We already talked about semi-permeable membrane. Okay, some things get through and some things don't. Okay, osmotic pressure. Osmotic pressure is the pressure created by an imbalance of salts. All right, so if we're looking at this diagram that they show us right here, there is osmotic pressure on the left here. The osmotic pressure is forcing the water, okay, over to the side where there is more salt. Okay, so that osmotic pressure essentially pushes the water over to that side until a state of equilibrium is reached, okay, where now the concentration of salts on both sides of the U shape here are equal. All right, obviously there has to be more water on this side because there's more salt. There's less salt on this side, so there's less water, and that makes the concentrations equal. But osmotic pressure is what causes that water to move across. Okay. Concentrate. Okay, lower concentrate. Concentrate just means how much salt is in there per liter. All right, so we express concentrations usually in moles per liter. All right, we talked about moles in the chemistry unit, so essentially how many atoms of this stuff would be in a liter of that solution. Okay. Hey, bars of pressure. Bars are essentially a unit, okay, that measures the pressure of something. All right, and so bars of pressure just tells us how much pressure we experience. When there's a rapid change in air pressure, you can usually feel that on your eardrum. Sometimes they'll pop. Okay, that means it's changed by several bars. Okay, if you take French, you know what this word is. Okay, but if you don't, it's voila. Okay, voila means there it is. Okay, and there it is. You've seen reverse osmosis. All right. Okay, skeletal fluorosis. Okay, that happens if you get like rickets. Okay, if you've ever seen someone who doesn't get enough calcium and things like that, their bones start to bend and they get kind of bow-legged. All right, or they get kind of hunched over and things like that. Their bones essentially bend under the weight of their own mass. Okay, and their bones change shape. It's not a healthy situation. Leads to misalignments of joints in your back and whatever else, and it's a very painful condition. Okay. Um, Impediment we just talked about. WHO and UNICEF. Okay, these are two organizations. Okay, in the world. WHO is the World Health Organization, and this is the United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund. UNICEF. Okay, is essentially money that helps take care of impoverished children worldwide. All right, and that's it. Okay, any other words there that we needed to go over? All right, so your task here for the remainder of class, and I would imagine you should get pretty close to done that given that you have 40 minutes, okay, is to answer those 4 questions. Now, what I mean by answer is we're looking for complete sentence, detailed explanations, possibly a couple of sentences for each question. Okay, one of them specifically asks for a paragraph. All right, so I'm looking for a fair amount of stuff here. All right. If you're answering question number 1 and you go, one's alive, one isn't, and that's your answer, I'm looking for more than that. Okay, when you're comparing and contrasting the reverse osmosis versus the cell membrane, I'm looking for a little more than that. I'm looking for details like, what are they made out of? Okay, I'm looking for, how do they work? Is there power required for one of them? Okay, things like that. So give me some details on those things. The more you put down, the better your mark's going to be. Okay, now looking at this here, guys, okay, underneath you'll see the rubrics I'm going to use to mark that. Okay, you got your analysis and interpretation here. Okay, we're looking for how well did you analyze what you read. Okay. Does it show that you used critical thinking skills? Were you able to come up with some stuff, okay, that was kind of beyond what was said there? Okay, did you identify patterns in relationships? Okay, that means similarities and differences and things like that. Okay, all ideas and conclusions have a basis in fact, or did you just start making stuff up? Sometimes people do that. Okay, there's a tendency to, I'm feeling it now, I'm going to just start writing stuff down because it sounds right. Okay, and we want to try and avoid doing that. Okay, for the literacy and comprehension, answers to all questions show that the student understood the material in the article. Okay, and answers used only scientific terminology in a way that shows the student fully understands the meanings of said terms. This is why we went over the words you didn't understand. Now that you know what they mean, can you use them in the answers to the questions? Okay, we should see those words used as now explanations for your answers. All right, and then lastly, overall, okay, it's basically the same as it is in your toxin project. I'm looking for how well do you put all this stuff together. Okay, questions on that? All right. Okay, you got a fair amount of time to work on that. I would expect that we can get that done. Let's say write it neatly, and we might be able to avoid having to take this home and type it. All right, save us a little extra time, make this just something that gets done in class. All right? Okay, get to it.